Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Bamboo Numeron deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this is actually a Patreon request from Izzy. So this deck is actually really insane. It can even get you to draw 8 cards and skip your opponent's pretty much entire turn, where they don't get a main phase 1, they don't get a main phase 2, and they don't get a draw phase with the perfect setup in the deck. Now it's really easy to establish a lock where your opponent doesn't get a main phase 1 or main phase 2, but it's really amazing, and I'm really excited to show you guys this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, just like Izzy did, to get some awesome rewards like getting your name in the description for every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile every single month that you are a patron, along with test hands. So definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below, because this deck is absolutely bonkers, and I'm really excited to bring this crazy deck to you and to Izzy, because this deck is crazy. So let's go ahead and get straight on into it. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Royal Magic Library. So Royal Magic Library has the ability that every time a spell card is activated, you get to put a spell counter on this card. You get to add a spell counter to this card. And once you add 3 spell counters to this card, you can remove 3 to be able to draw a card from your deck. This deck plays 31 spells in it, being a complete Bamboo Numeron deck. You play a lot of spells in this deck, so this card comes in really pivotal and really handy. We then play 3 copies of Numeron Wall. So Numeron Wall basically gets your copy of your field spell from your deck to your side of the field as quickly as possible, with the ability that if you control no cards except Numeron Wall, you can quick effect send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate 1 Numeron network directly from your hand or deck. And and then when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, in the battle phase, which is pretty helpful to be able to help you out with taking battle damage. We then play 3 copies of Eater of Million. Eater of Millions is really good in the deck too, because it's kind of like a backup plan to the deck, to be able to special summon out your copy of Eater of Millions to your side of the field, to be able to just take cards out of your extra deck, to be able to special summon this card to be able to remove a monster every time it battles, which is really cool. I love this effect, to be able to just banish that opponent's monster. It's just a really amazing effect. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Very small monster lineup. You don't really need that many. It's just 9 monsters and 31 spells. So let's go ahead and get into the Bamboo Sword Engine. So for the Bamboo Sword Engine, we're going to be playing a single copy of Broken Bamboo Sword. You just need 1 copy of Broken Bamboo Sword in this deck, because this card is really good, but you just need 1. It makes a monster gain 0 attack, but it's very pivotal to being able to activate for your Golden Bamboo Sword and your Burning Bamboo Sword. You play a single copy of Soul Devouring Bamboo Sword. Soul Devouring Bamboo Sword is how you skip your opponent's draw phase. You get to select a monster, select 1 equipped monster with a bamboo sword, and the equipped spell with it being equipped with an equipped spell. And then if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent while equipped with a bamboo sword card, they skip their next draw phase and destroy this card during your second standby phase after activation. This card's really good just to be able to activate and be able to skip your opponent's draw phase, to be able to basically Yatagarasu lock them out of their hand or out of their deck. We then play 2 copies of Burning Bamboo Sword. If you activate any Bamboo Sword cards, or any cards with Bamboo Sword in the name, this card has the ability to be able to skip your opponent's next main phase 1. So if you go first and you activate any Bamboo Sword card with this card on the field, you're going to skip your opponent's main phase 1, and they're essentially not going to get a battle phase, which is insane, and they're not going to have any monsters during their battle phase to be able to go off with you if you go first. We play 3 copies of Golden Bamboo Sword, which is essentially Pot of Greed against your opponent, or against you, which is amazing. That if you control a Bamboo Sword equipped spell, which is going to be your Broken Bamboo Sword and your Cursed Bamboo Sword, you're going to get to draw 2 cards out of your deck, which is really good. We play 3 copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword. 3 copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword is really good in this deck, because you can activate it and the equipped monster gains 0 attack. But the really good effect about this card is that if it's sent to the graveyard by any means, you get to add 1 Bamboo Sword card from your deck to your hand, which can be any of these cards that you want to add from your deck to your hand, to be able to go off into some really crazy plays. And this was actually the requirement for the deck, that I had to use the Bamboo Sword engine in this deck, and I really wanted to use all of them in this particular build for you, Izzy, and I hope that you really enjoyed this one. So if you don't want to play the Soul Devouring, I will say you can drop the Soul Devouring and play a second copy of Broken Bamboo Sword, or a One Day of Peace. If you feel like you need to draw even more in this deck, you can go ahead and do that. But as you guys will see in the test hands, this card comes in pretty handy. So that's it for the the Bamboo Engine, let's go ahead and get into the rest of the spells. So for the rest of the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Numeron Network. Numeron Network is essentially one of the win conditions of the entire deck, because you're going to want to lock your opponent down, but you need something to back up locking your opponent down. So this card's really pivotal in being able to activate and being able to send your copy of your Numeron Calling from your deck to your graveyard to be able to then special summon each one of the Numeron Gates from your extra deck to be able to link them away, summon Infinitrack Megaclops, or summon out your copy of Utopic Zexal to your side of the field to really go after your opponent for a solid OTK of summoning all 4 of the gates. Even if you get pushed to go second, I will say it's really good because you can summon out the gates and just immediately OTK your opponent, which is what I really wanted to do with this deck, to be able to also use the copy of the Cursed Bamboo Swords and the Bamboo Sword Engine, but also use the Numeron Engine to really push for game, where you have, ironically enough, the copies of the Bamboo Swords being the shield of the deck, and then the Numeron Network being the sword of the deck to really go after your opponent in OTK. We then play 3 copies of Memories of Hope. Now, usually in the majority of builds, you just play 2 of this, but this card essentially is like a wild draw for an Uno, but for you. What this card does is basically you get to draw a card for every number monster on your side of the field with a different name. So when you activate Numeron Calling, you put 4 number monsters on your side of the field. So you then activate this and draw 4. Or if you have Serial Spell on your side of the field, you draw 8. Because you discard your entire hand, and then you activate the copy of Memories of Hope, then you chain the copy of Serial Spell, and then you draw 8 because you discard your entire hand, and this copies the effect of Memories of Hope, so you draw 8 cards off the top of your deck. This card's insane. I don't understand why more people are not playing this in Numeron builds. We then play 2 copies of Terminal World. Now, you will notice that this and the copy of Burning Bamboo Sword, you're only playing as 2 ofs. You don't need it at 3. Per se, because basically what this card does is during your main phase 1, you have to activate it during your main phase 1, and then all these cards on the field, both players skip their main phase 2. This card's really good because comboed with your copy of the Burning Bamboo Sword, you're going to essentially make it so your opponent does not get a main phase 2 or a main phase 1 at all, which is the main 2 like phases in the game to be able to make it so your opponent actually can summon a card. So this card is very pivotal for the entire deck. You're going to draw it very easily because again, you have draw 8 in this deck, so it's really easy to get it out. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. You do play plenty of targets for this because you have the copy of Eater of Millions and the Numeron Walls, so it's really easy to use the Allure to be able to dig deeper into the deck and be able to resolve it. And even if you don't, if all you have in your hand is a copy of Cursed Bamboo Sword, this card just discards those cards to the graveyard like a copy of Card Destruction. This card will trigger off the copy of Allure, sending it to the graveyard to be able to add your copy of Burning Bamboo Sword or a copy of the copy of Golden Bamboo Sword if you already have a copy of this on your side of the field equipped to a monster, or the Broken equipped to a monster. We then play 3 copies of Dark World Dealings, which lets you draw a card and then each player discards a card, which is really helpful for the deck as well to be able to just dig through the deck even faster. 1 copy of Upstart Goblin to play a 39 card deck. 1 copy of Terraforming to essentially play a 38 card deck to get your copy of your Numeron field spell as quickly as possible. And a copy of Scapegoat because summoning 4 gates or 4 goats comes in handy. I mean, it just does. Summoning the goats is really helpful to be able to go in for your plays. And with how quickly you dig through this deck, you kind of need a little bit of a defensive card as well. So the Scapegoats at 1 really helps out the deck quite a lot to be able to go into some cards like your copy of Boral Sword Dragon, just as an added bonus to be able to go after your opponent. So that's it for the entire main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Infinitrack Megaclops. This card is unaffected by everything except, that's a monster, except by Xyz monsters, which is really cool because I summoned this card against somebody who was playing Txne on Yugioh Pro, and they were like, I can't. And I was like, what do you mean you can't? And they were like, I can't. And I was like, play? And they're like, no, I can't get past that. I literally cannot get past this. The only real way to get past Infinitrack Megaclops is to use a spell or trap to get rid of it, or to use a copy of Utopia Double to get over it with a 10,000 beat stick, which is really cool because it can't be destroyed by battle except with an Xyz monster, and then you can also, it can't be affected by other monster effects except Xyz monsters as well, but it can still be affected by monster spells or traps, which is still kind of good and kind of bad. It's kind of the Achilles heel of the card. We then play a single copy of Boral Sword, which just helps us with OTKs just a little bit with the copy of the Scapegoats. IP Masquerena. Masquerena helps out a lot because you can go into the copy of Boral Sword sword, and it makes it so it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects or by battle. 1 copy of Link Spider because you use it for the goat tokens. Link Rebo, again, for goat tokens. And Alamirage for the normal summons of your Labyrinth, or not your Labyrinth, but your Numeron Wall, or your copy of the Royal Magic Library, or just whatever you need to link it away with to get you another Link monster on your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of the Numeron Gate 1, Numeron Gate 2, Numeron Gate 3, and Numeron Gate 4. So these are very important for the deck. You have to play at least one of each. If you feel like you don't need them, like I usually end up banishing extra copies of this, you can drop one of each of these and play 4 extra cards in your extra deck if you want to. I feel like I just like throwing these in because I don't see myself linking into anything else. The only thing I could see myself getting rid of these for is maybe an Appaloosa, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, and a copy of maybe Access Code Talker. Like that might be it that I might drop 4 of them for. Like I said, the Access Code, the Nightmare Phoenix Unicorn, and a Appaloosa. That might be the only things that I really drop one of each gate for. And then you play a single copy of Utopic Zexal. Now, the really cool thing about this is it pretty much shuts down your opponent's entire turn. I usually actually don't summon this as much. I usually summon out the copy of the Infinitrack because when you summon this out, you kind of lock yourself in where you can't OTK your opponent quick enough. But the Infinitrack, 2 hits and they're out. So it's really a good card to play the Infinitrack over the copy of Utopic Zexal, because if this card gets banned anyways, you still have the copy of the Infinitrack to go off with. And the really cool thing is these will OTK because as they attack, they double the attack. So it starts at 1,000, goes to 2, 4, and then finally 8,000, which is pretty cool. If you can multiply by 2, you can play this deck. So that's it for this deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really crazy, fun deck to play around with, and I hope you did enjoy it, Izzy. I hope it was as crazy as you wanted it to be, because I know how you love crazy decks, for me to build crazy decks for you and for the community. And so I wanted to build something that nobody else had really touched, I felt like, and I felt like this was the best way to do it, besides using my Dark Arm Dragon deck. But I wanted to build something new and innovative for you. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Arm Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, and give Izzy some love down there. And thank you so much, Izzy, for requesting this deck, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.